بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا إنك تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. اللهم سهل لنا أمورنا برحمة منك يا أرحم الراحمين. We covered the equalities of the letters and we arrived now to Qlaqla. We explained Qlaqla and we differentiated between two sorts of Qlaqla, the big Qlaqla and the smaller Qlaqla. Qlaqla Kubra and Qlaqla Sughra. And now we are going to cover some mistakes that happen normally when we perform Qlaqla. So I'm gonna make that a little bit bigger in order to see that. So one of the mistakes that happen when we perform Qlaqla, that we mix its sound with one of the three letters, one of the three harakat, one of the three vowels. So it's very famous that people perform Qlaqla like that, which is wrong. They would say لقد كان لقد كان, or they would say tube tum, or they would say Ibrahim Ibrahim. So mixing the Qlaqla with any of the three vowels is wrong. So you have really to be careful with that. I'm gonna go through those mistakes, and after that we'll perform them correctly. Like I'll ask you to perform them correctly. And the second mistake that some people would do is ending the sound of Qlaqla with the hamza. You might hear that very often from people. They would say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ أَحَدٌ أَحَدٌ. Do you recognize this hamza at the end? Or Allahu Samad Samad. So don't close the vocal cords. So you know that the hamza is the hamza occurs when you close the vocal cords. Don't close the vocal cords when you perform Qlaqla. So you have to say like ahad ahad, not ahad, as-samad as-samad, and so on. And the third mistake, that you stretch the sound of the Qlaqla excessively. You say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ Allahu Samad. Especially when some people, like read with maqamat and they really focus on maqamat and so on. They say قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, and they really stretch the sound of Qlaqla. Sometimes they cut, that is the fourth mistake, they cut the sound of Qlaqla, especially when the Qlaqla is in the middle of the word. They cut the sound and they cut the sound of the Qlaqla between two parts. They cut the word into two parts, and that is also wrong. They would say something like يقضي يقضي or يبصرون يدخلون, because they want to stress this Qlaqla. You don't need to stress the Qlaqla like that. You just say it as it should be. You don't have to separate this word into two parts. So those are the main mistakes that people might do. When we refer to the mistakes, we are going also to cover a lot of mistakes that people might do. Those mistakes, they depend on your mother tongue. They depend on the people which are around you. Depends also on area. So a lot of scholars try to gather those mistakes and to inform people about them in order to avoid them. But like maybe for me maybe it's very strange that someone would make a mistake with ha. It's very strange for me as someone who has the Arabic as a mother tongue. It's very strange for me that someone would make a mistake with ha and would say ha. But for people who are they don't have the Arabic as a mother tongue, it's very normal for them to do this mistake. Maybe for you, maybe it's very strange that you cut this word, like you to say yaqdi, to say I haven't heard this mistake. Yeah, that's why I'm telling you from now, those mistakes that we are going to go through them today, they are really like they contingent to the on the area that those scholars try to collect them. So don't be surprised if some mistakes are very strange for you. Anyway, so those are the mistakes that normally happen with qalqala. I'm gonna ask you now, please, to perform the qalqala with those examples correctly, and we are going to go through them one by another, and every one of you will read one line, starting with Mash, Abdurrahman, and Qasim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. لقد كان.
Try to read them together because they are two words and they are from the same sentence. So try to do something like that. لقد كان.
لقد كان.
Very good.
تبتم.
تبتم.
تبتم. إبراهيم.
Very good. Okay. Abdurrahman.
أحد الصمد.
Very good. Mash. Qasim, sorry.
أحد الصمد.
Okay, would you read the other examples, please? Because
this one, the last one.
Yeah, the last ones.
Okay. يقضي.
يقضي.
يقضي. يبصرون.
Don't pronounce the vowel at the end of the word.
Okay. يبصرون. يدخلون.
Very good. طيب. Now we are going to move to another quality of the letters. If you remember, we are now with the qualities of the letters which don't have opposite. So now we covered غنة, I think, at the beginning. Was it غنة? So the first one was لين, and the first one was the first was غنة and قلقلة, and now we are going to move to lean. What is the lean? The lean is, they translate that into softness. And when you say someone is layyin is soft. And like when you have something soft, you can smudge it like a paper or something like that. So lean is softness. But what does it mean in Tajweed? The characteristic of lean, you just prolong those letters. So because you have the letter, because lean occurs in waw and ya, and those letters, they are able to be stretched, they are able to be prolonged, so you just prolong them. It's a very natural characteristic. You don't need to do something extra. So because the air flows in those letters, you just prolong them. So in which letters do you have the lean? I'm gonna open a Word document here to show you some example, just to explain that for you. Do you see my Word document here? Do you see it or you don't see it?
What Word document are you talking about?
The Word document that I'm opening now, you don't see it. Do you see it?
No, we don't see a Word document.
Okay, now you have to see it, I think.
Oh, yeah, now you see, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So where do we have qalqala? We have qalqala in waw and ya. But in which waw and ya? Do you remember in which waw and ya?
Is it in the non-med ones? So the ones that aren't preceded by a dhamma or a kasra?
The non-mad ones. So when the waw is sakina and the letter before is with fatha, and when the ya also is sakina and the letter before is also with fatha. So with those examples, we have qalqala. Sorry, we have lean. Just with those two states, with those two situations. So a word like kha, khawf, or bayt in Surah Quraysh. So we have waw with fatha before, waw sakina with fatha before, and also a ya sakina with a fatha before. So we prolong those letters. How much do we prolong them? Like, do we say khawf or khawf or khawf? For that, we have rules. We have mad rules, and we're gonna cover that inshallah in later in this book. Now, what we have to know, just that we have this characteristic, this quality in those two letters. We don't need to know more than that. Now the next quality is al-inhiraf. Inhiraf, it doesn't affect on the pronunciation when we pronounce, but it's something theoretical that we have to know, how the letters are produced, how the letters are performed. So the inhiraf, we have the inhiraf in two letters, in ra and lam. So we drift the sound of the letter due to its incomplete flow caused by the tongue looking its path. As I said, it doesn't, when you pronounce it inhiraf, you pronounce it naturally, normally. Because when you say ra, inhiraf is something essential, something in the nature of the ra. And when you say also lam, inhiraf is also something natural, essential in the lam. So now we are going just to learn that theoretically in order to know what is happening when we pronounce ra or lam. So normally, look at this picture here with the lam. Normally the tongue closes the whole the scholars of the Tajweed, they just imagine like a theoretical situation actually, that the tongue closed the whole part of the throat, not the throat, of the, what do you call that, the tongue, not the tongue, the mouth, the roof of the mouth. So they imagine that it closed the whole part, and the air doesn't have any place to go through, doesn't have any place to go through. So what happens, that the air drift, that is the roof of the tongue, and that is the tongue here. The air doesn't have any place, the air drift from here and here with the lam. So you would say al, and the air comes from here and here, whereas this part is closed. That is the inhiraf with the lam. So maybe this picture might explain what I mean better than the picture before. The air come in this way, so it supports. So theoretically, it's supposed to complete coming from this way, like complete coming. But this place is closed, and that's why there is a drifting in the direction of the air from here and from here. Do you understand that? And as I said, because when I pronounce lam, it's natural that the air drift from this way and this way, because I put my tongue in the middle, and the air is looking for a place. But this one is just, you don't have to stress, you don't have to do anything when you produce inhiraf, when you perform inhiraf, because it happens naturally. When it doesn't happen, the lam is not not correct. For example, if you said something like it's not correct. So it's not the lam. It's not the lam. When you say it's not correct because it's not the lam. You know. So there is no there is nothing actually to say about this quality of the letter. Now the drifting in the ra is in the other way around. In the other way around. How is it in the other way around? So the a must come from the whole part here, from the whole part. But we close with the ra. We close this part and this part, so the air drift to the middle. The air drifts to the middle, and we say ar ar. Now with the ra, inhiraf is very important. Now why? Because with the ra, if you close this makhraj totally, you are going to have excessive takrir. Takrir is the next quality. Excessive takrir is wrong. Why? Because the tongue will vibrate like that. When you really try to close your tongue, you close the departure of the air. When you really try to do that, the air will find a way to go out. So what happened, that is the excessive repetition when you say and which is wrong. There is a repetition, there is a kind of repetition in the ra, but it's just for one time. You say ar or khair, just one time, not it's not like that. Okay, now that is for ra and lam, and now we are going to cover the takrir. As I said, it's a light trilling of the tongue when you pronounce the ra due to its tight articulation point. The tongue is tight, so the air will find a place to go through, and that's why the repetition occurs. Now with the ra, the repetition is important. Two things you have to avoid. The first thing, don't repeat this ra excessively. Don't say ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And the other thing, you don't you have to repeat it. You have to repeat it just once. You don't say ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Because if you are saying you are not putting your tongue on the right position. You are not putting your tongue on the roof here, on the roof of your, or in the how did we call that, on the source of your teeth, or the base of your teeth. So you're not putting your tongue there. You are just keeping your tongue free. Or say ar. You are just approaching your the roof of your mouth, but you're not putting your tongue there. And there are some people who have kind of how do you call that, speech impediment? Impediment, yeah. There are some people whose tongue, their tongue is not long enough to arrive to this place. When they say, it's not long enough to arrive to this place. Those people, they can actually go to the specialist and make a very, very small operation. Normally, they cut this place here, and they prolong. They don't prolong the tongue, but they give the tongue more room, more freedom to reach to this place. But most of the people, they don't have this problem, but they are not used to that, especially if this ra doesn't exist in their mother tongue. For example, here in Germany, they have this letter ra, but most of the people, like just in some places, they really pronounce it as the Arabic ra, ar, but most of the people, they don't pronounce it. They pronounce it like the French ra. They say ar. For example, Ar-Rahman, they say Rahman. Gha, Rahman. So it's difficult for a lot of them. It's difficult for a lot of them to pronounce this trilling, the trilled ra. It's very difficult for them. So it's kind of just something that you have to get used to it. And also the tafashi, it's something that happened naturally. It's the same as inhiraf. Tafashi occurs just with the sheen. What does it mean, tafashi? Tafashi is spreading the sound of the sheen, starting from its articulation point. Where did we say, where is the articulation point of the sheen? Is in the middle of the tongue, isn't it? Until the sounds collides with the inner palate of the top and lower teeth. So here we have the top teeth, and here we have the lower teeth, and the sound come from here, started from here, and it collides here in this part here, in the inner part, not in the other part. That is also tafashi. I mean, you don't have to really to stress something when you say ash-shaytani. Just I mean, when the sheen is with the state of sukoon, just try to make it clearer. And we have the istitala. Istitala, one of the qualities that we have really to pay attention to, because istitala, it's a very like a very quiet quality, and if you didn't pay attention to it, it just goes away. So what is the istitala? Istitala, it's a slight pushing of the tongue forward. When you say the tongue is kind of moving naturally. You don't have to exaggerate with that. It's, I mean, if you're having the dad correctly, you don't even feel that it's moving. When pronouncing the dad, from the back to the front of the mouth until the tip of the tongue lightly touches the root area of the upper two incisors, which is affect the air pressing behind the tongue. So with the dad, you don't let your tongue, I mean, you don't lose your tongue. You don't lose it, like you don't open the departure of the air. You don't say abba, abba. You don't lose it. You just keep the sound going in the articulation point, not from the articulation point. That is the difference. The scholars say الضاد تخرج من المخرج. Also, that means that you the this istitala, it's occurring, it's happening in the makhraj, in the articulation point, not from. When you say from, it means that you say the dad and you keep, or you let your tongue, like the Qlaqla. But here it's not from, it's in. And we have also al-ghunna. Al-ghunna, the nasalization of the and this ghunna, it occurs in the noon and mim. It's ghunna, it's also an essential part of the mim and noon. You can't perform ghunna without you can't perform mim or noon without a ghunna, because the ghunna is actually the sound that comes from the nose. And they are, I think there is a linguistic or not linguistic, how do you call epimistic or etymologistic is the adjective of etymology. What is the adjective from etymology?
I'm not sure we really use it like that. Etymology is really like split up where it came from originally.
Yeah, and what is the so in the etymology?
Yeah.
In the etymology, the meaning of ghunna is the sound of the of one of those animals who used to be in the desert, and when they lost their their kids, or whether they were looking for their kids, they used to have this sound of and that's why the Arabic people at that time, they call this sound from the nose, they call that ghunna. Anyway, we are not interested in this etymology, but ghunna is this sound that comes from your nose when you are pronouncing meme or noon. If the sound is not coming from your nose, you don't have meme or noon. You can't say, you can't pronounce that. So, but the ghunna has also, or the letters with the ghunna, they have also different dimensions. They have different lengthings when you are pronouncing them. How much do you have do I have to do this ghunna? What is the like, how long must the ghunna should be? We're going to cover that also when we cover the ahkam al-ghunna or ahkam al-nun al-sakina wa tanween. We are going to cover that because there are a lot of rules for that. Now we just need, I mean, I think they he referred to this page in our book. So now we just need to know that there is a quality which is noon and meme. Now with those two pages, we have a table which summarizes everything about the qualities and characteristic of the letters. You can go to this table if you want. Now we are going to cover the mistakes that happen normally when we pronounce the letters of alphabetic. So are we going to cover them and try to say those the examples correctly. So one of the mistakes that happen now, we are going now to start with alif. One of the mistakes that happen with when pronouncing alif is when you don't open the mouth correctly. We say Musa, just pay attention to the difference between Musa, and a. There are a lot of people who read like that. They say Musa, سبح اسم ربك الأعلى. You don't say الأعلى. You have to say الأعلى. سبح اسم ربك الأعلى. And also, the second mistake is mixing the sound of the sound of alif with the sound of ya, similar to the first one. You say maliki yawmiddin, maliki yawmiddin, and that happens when the preceding letter is a soft letter, whereas when the letter before the alif is or the letter after alif is a strong letter, it's a mufakham letter, thick letter, people tend to mix the sound of alif with waw. They would say khalidina because they want to make the ha thick, and they say ho, o. It's not o, it's a. Kha, a, khalidina. And they would say also faqola, especially people from I've heard that from some brothers from Tajikistan or Afghanistan, because in their mother tongue this alif is very thick. They would say qola, khalidina. So you have to be careful with that. And also making the alif heavy when it has to be soft, because you know the rule of the alif, it's according to the letter before. If the letter before is soft, it's going to be soft. If the letter before is thick, it's going to be thick. And now in those examples, because the letter after the alif is thick, our mind maybe tends to go to the thickness. So they would say an-nahar, nahar, especially from my city, in the city where in the city in Syria, people in their mother tongue, they would say nahar, my, you know, and that one when they read, they tend to say nahar, 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 ah. It's not ah, it's ah, nahar. And also annar, na. They even make the noon thick. And also al-batil, ba, ba. It's not ba, it's ba, ba. النهار النار الباطل. And the fifth mistake that people might do is making the sound of the alif light when it's heavy. So they would say خالدين, خا or غائبة. And this mistake is very prevalent actually, because people don't know this rule that alif follows the letter before. So the right way of saying that is خالدين, خالدين, غائبة. The sixth mistake is mixing the sound of alif with the gunna, and this mistake is very, very often, because you know gunna makes the sound normally nicer, and people want to, you know, like to make their sounds nicer and so on, so they mix everything with gunna. They say ar-rahmani. If you want to test that, you put your finger on your nose, you just flip with your nose like that, and you know if the if you are having gunna with the alif. Don't have gunna with the alif. Don't have gunna with the alif. So when you say ar-rahman, my sound didn't change. That means that I don't have gunna with alif. Whereas when I have a gunna with the alif, look at that, ar-rahman. Have you noticed the difference? So, and also an-nas. An-nas. It's not an-nas. Okay? So we have to notice this difference between alif with ghunna and alif without ghunna. And a lot of readers, a lot of reciters, they have that, unfortunately, because they want to have this ghunna with their sounds. Now we are going to go through those examples. Just give me a second to close my window here, because it's getting very loud. Okay. So we are going to perform now those examples in a correct way, inshallah. Every one of you will read the whole examples, and after that the next one, starting with Abdurrahman, Qasim, sorry, with Mash, Qasim, according to my list here, Mash, Qasim, and Abdurrahman.
موسى
Very good.
مالك
You don't have to prolong that much. Malik.
مالك خالدين فطال النهار النار الباطل الباطل خالدين غائبة الرحمن الرحمن الناس
Yeah.
موسى مالك خالدين.
Don't round your lips. Don't say kho, khalidina.
خالدين خالدين فطال
فطال فطال.
فطال
Mhm.
النهار النهار
قراءتك النهار.
النهار النار
Mhm.
الباطل
Mhm.
خالدين غائبة
غائبة.
غائبة الرحمن
Mhm.
الناس.
Very good. طيب.
موسى مالك خالدين فطال
فطال.
فطال النهار النار الباطل خالدين غائبة الرحمن الناس.
Okay. Now we are going to cover some mistakes that might happen in pronouncing wow. First of all, when you don't round your lips correctly, when you don't circle your lips correctly, because with the wow you have to round your lips. You say تعملون تعملون. When you don't say that, you're gonna pronounce like a semi wow, which doesn't exist in Arabic. You're gonna pronounce the letter O. We don't have the letter O in Arabic. We just have the letter U with this sound. So you pronounce something like تعملون It's not O. So you have to round your lips. تعملون. Some people, they want, that is the next mistake, some people want to pronounce the wow, to round their lips, but they really stress on the wow and they hinder the air. They would say something like يقولون يقولون. You don't have to you don't have to exaggerate with that. You don't press like that, because you are going to hinder the sound, and you are going also to have kind of vibration in your lips when you say يقولون. And the third mistake is mixing the sound of wow with alif. You say كانوا و, and I've heard a lot of people saying that كانوا كانوا. You see كانوا. No, it's كانوا. At the end of the sound, it's كانوا. And the fourth mistake, when they mix the sound of the wow with ya. I don't know how they would say that. I don't know. I don't know. Like, as I said, some mistakes are really even difficult to performance, because they, maybe because people are influenced by their mother tongue. If someone of you can produce that, maybe you can help me with that.
يوقنون
يوقنون. Maybe يوقنون.
يوقنون.
I don't know. Maybe يوقنون. I don't know. Anyway, so don't do that. Yeah, the fifth mistake, when people, it's also similar to the alif, they mix also the sound of the waw with ghunna, and they would say الظالمون. See, so you have to say and it's very easy to mix the sound of waw with ghunna, very very easy, and it's sometimes seems to be nice, but it's not nice. They would say الظالمون. As I said, if you want to test that, just flip your fingers on put your fingers on your nose. So the right way of saying that is الظالمون. It doesn't affect the sound. It doesn't affect the sound. So now we are going to perform those examples as we did with alif, and after that we'll move inshallah to the practical part. يلا ماش قاسم عبد الرحمن.
تعملون يقولون
كانوا
كانوا يوقنون الظالمون الظالمون
يعملون يقولون يقولون كانوا يوقنون الظالمون.
Okay.
تعملون يقولون كانوا يوقنون الظالمون.
Okay, very good. We are going to stop here, inshallah, and next time we are going to carry on with those mistakes. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin.